All right, guys, how you doing? So we're gonna go over this $550 PC build. I think we're gonna go over the parts really quick, and I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown. And so what we're looking at here is the ASRock B450M Pro 4 motherboard. Okay, we got a power spec power supply, 650 watts. We got an inland SSD M.2 hard drive. We got the Ripjaws memory, 16 gigs. That's what everybody's using on the AMD builds. Ryzen loves it. And we got a Ryzen5 3600. That's right, we're not going 1626. This is a 3600. And then we're running a Cooler Master case. I picked this up on Amazon for $50. There's one catch with this whole thing. Everything here is brand spanking new except for one item. And that one item is right here. It's a 1060 GTX 1060 3 gig. Now I picked this up for, yes, for $75 used. And so to keep this build in line with approximately $550, this is the one item that I picked up used. And so this is what's great about this build, is that everything that we have here is very good and things you can keep for years. And how easy is it to pick up a used video card? People are always upgrading their video cards. So instead of spending top dollar on a 2060 or a 2070 Super, you could just pick up the video card that fits your needs right now. So with this one, you'll be able to play high settings, 1080p, 60 frames a second on mostly all the games that are out there. So even with this 3 gigs. So at this point, you can have a great system for $550. Later on next year, if you decide you want to upgrade, then the one thing you will upgrade is your video card. But you're running 16 gigs of memory already. You got a Ryzen 5 3600. You got a mid-size case to change a motherboard in the future, so you don't have to stay in an ATX case, a mini ATX or anything like that. And you've got a motherboard that's capable of upgrading memory and 2 M.2 drives. So let's get into this build. Okay, so we do see on this motherboard that we do have 4 RAM slots, which is great for upgradability, and that's going to be really important for future. And then we have not just one, but we have 2 M.2 slots. So that's going to be really nice, especially on a board in this price point. One of the things I really like about this board is not only do you have some heat sinks going around the top and the sides, and but you also have a PCI slot that is above where your card goes, where your graphics card goes. A lot of times you have a PCI slot below, and then you go to put in your graphics card and it blocks it. So this is above it, so if you go to put a wireless card in here, it's totally usable. And I feel like this board overall gives a nice aesthetic pleasing look also. So not only are you getting a good deal with some nice benefits to this board, the upgradability is going to be something that you're going to be able to take advantage of as time goes on, because not only does this take the Ryzen 3000 chips right now with the BIOS that's in it, you'll also be able to have an upgradable BIOS that you can install to get to your Ryzen 4000 chips. At least that's what we're being told at this present time. So this is a great choice, I believe. Alright guys, let's see if we can get this CPU installed. So the CPU comes in this little clamshell, and you separate it. But you got to be really gentle. When handling the CPU, you do not want to bend any of the pins. Okay, and then we're going to take note of that little gold triangle on the corner, and we're going to pick the CPU up gently. Okay, take it out, hold it on the sides, and when we flip it over, we still take note of the gold triangle that's in this corner. Okay, that is going to go in with the triangle that is on the motherboard right over here. So we're going to lift this arm up, and that opens our socket. We're going to make sure we line up perfect. Okay. Let's just drop this in. All right. Took a little doing to pop that in, but I heard it go right in. Once it goes right in, you're good to go, and you drop your arm down. It is installed. Okay, so the next thing is to install your heatsink. Now, AMD does send you a heatsink for free with their chip, and it comes with thermal paste already on it. So we don't want to touch this surface at all. All right. And what I like to do is put this on with the AMD insignia facing in that direction. Okay, so that keeps it clear of your data banks over on this side. So first thing we need to do is uninstall the plate holder. Okay, so it's got 4 screws on each side, and then you're going to want to save these screws and this plastic bracket for if you ever decide to get rid of this motherboard again, you can reattach it, and that holds the bracket that's on the back of the motherboard. So place those over to the side, and then you're going to use that if you ever decide to get rid of the motherboard. Okay, these 4 screws. Okay, and I got my trusty shears on the side, another screwdriver, my case screws are off to the side. This is my M.2 screw, and I'll show you that later. All right, so now that we have this off, what we're gonna do is take it, face it in the direction I was talking about. We're gonna drop these up so they match dead even with the screw holes, and then we're just going to get each side started just a little bit on each one. Okay. This bracket is fighting me a little bit. Okay, we got each one started, and then we're going to go in a crisscross fashion. Just a little bit on each side until we're mounted all the way down. Okay, that one's bottomed out. That one's bottomed out. That's bottomed out. So just don't want to tighten them too much, just so you can feel like it's hitting the bottom, and that's it. So that's all, they're all installed. So now your CPU is installed with your heatsink. You just need to plug this in. This is a 4-pin connector, and you're going to see at the top up here, it's going to say CPU fan. And they can only really go on one way. So you're just going to slide it over. So even me with my bifocals can get it on. And then you can tuck this under anywhere you want. Okay, we'll figure out what's a good way in a little bit, but you can tuck it under your heatsink. And then the next thing we'll do is pop our memory out of the case. Okay. This is our Ripjaws 16 gig memory set. All right, so when you look at your memory, you're gonna see that there's a little slot in the middle, okay? When you're looking at this now, you're gonna see the 4 slots of your memory. You're gonna pull these all back so it's open, and then they can only go in one direction. So we're gonna drop it in our number 2 slot, and we can see that our little indentations line up, because if you do put it in backwards like this, you'll line it up, you're gonna see your slot is off. It will never go in, and if you force it, you'll damage the module. So you're just gonna line it up, and then you're just gonna push down, and you'll hear them click in. All right, and then you're gonna do the same thing with the other side. Line them up, slide it in straight, push down, and hear the clicks, you know you're in. So now we just installed our memory, and things are going pretty quick, pretty smooth. We'll do a little house cleaning, move this stuff out of the way. All right, let's put in our M.2 drive. Okay, now this is an inland. This is 512 gigs. I got this on sale for $65. Now, the one I was looking for was one step down inland, and it was a 480 gig for $50, and that would make our build exactly a 550, but they didn't have it in stock. I had to grab this one, and I got this at Micro Center. And if anybody knows about Micro Center, they are God's gift to us for computer stuff. So the Micro Center is awesome. All right, excuse me if that's loud on the mic. Just trying to get our M.2 drive out. Okay, so the same for this now. This goes in one way. This has a little nodule cut out right in here, and it lines up with the nodule that's in your M.2 drive. Now, these are gonna come, these standoffs are gonna come in the 3rd hole from the factory, but you can put them wherever you want, whatever fits our needs. So it looks like by the length of this one, yeah, we need to be in the 3rd one. So keep that there. This is just gonna go right in that little slot, and we're gonna push in. You'll hear it click in, and that's it. And you can see how that lines up. And these are tiny little screws in here, so they're easy to lose. So I'll cut this open. Because knowing me, I'll lose that. And then we're just gonna push this down and put that screw right in. Nice and gentle, it just has to be snug. Okay. That's it. So now we have installed our heatsink, our CPU, our memory, and our hard drive. And that went by pretty quick so far and pretty smooth. So now what we'll do is gonna get set up. Okay, you should have your IO shield out of your motherboard case. We're gonna install that into the back of the case. Okay, and then whatever drives you might possibly need. So let me clean this up and we'll come back and we'll set things up for the next move. All right, so we have our case. I took the 4 screws out and we have an acrylic cover on here. It's not tempered glass. And in the back of your case, you'll see right here is where your IO shield goes in. So the IO shield's where everything plugs into in the outside of the computer. You know, your mouse, your USB devices and all that. So you have to put this shield in first before you go and install your motherboard. So let's cut that open, slide that out, and just make sure when you're putting this in that you're putting it in the direction that you can read it on the outside of the case. Okay, so this is going to be going in like this. So what you do is you line it up and you're going to kind of hear it snap in just like that, pretty much, on the corners. Sometimes it tries to get back out on you and you just have to really give it a push. Get that in there. There we go. All right, so we're in all 4 corners and that looks good. All right, and the next thing you want to do is make sure that all your standoffs are in the right places. So your standoffs go in the case. It separates your motherboard from the case and holds it off. So of course, so the metal doesn't touch and short yourself out. This big open space is the back of your motherboard. Your bracket will stick out the back and you're going to slide it in. And so just make sure your standoffs, how many you have in the right spaces, match up with where your motherboard holes are. Okay, so I have 8 standoffs in here right now. And now I'm going to grab my motherboard, and when I grab it, when you grab the motherboard, it's okay to grab it by the fan just like this. And you're going to come in at an angle, nice and easy. And you're going to line up your standoffs and your IO shield holes. Are we lined up? We look pretty good back here. Yeah, all our holes are lined up. And let me take a look with our motherboard holes. All right, I can see them all clearly in here. It looks like we're lined up good. And so I took a look in the back and made sure that my IO ports were all lined up. And I'm taking a look at making sure all the holes with the motherboard is lined up. So next thing I'll do is grab my screws and I'll start installing the screws. Now the thing is, I don't tighten these screws down real hard. I want to get them all in first. So this way, if I have to wiggle them a little bit, I can. So let's start with right down here. Okay. We'll go to this guy. Okay. We got this one in the corner, it's a little hard to reach. Okay. Top one. Good. And one day I'll invest in a magnetic screwdriver. Not yet though. Although I should. Okay. I'm doing pretty good so far. We got one more to go. It'll tighten right here. All right. All right, so they're all in. So now we're just gonna go through and make sure they're just snug. That one's good. All right, this one. There we go. And then this guy. Good. 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 So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so that pretty much installs your motherboard. I will put this fan in, I have a fan header right there, so I'll be able to connect it from my rear fan, and then I'll tuck this away like we said before, and I'll come back on the next step. All right, guys, so we're back. Let's get this power supply put in. So on this case, it actually has two little standoffs in the back right here, and it takes this little bracket off that holds the power supply in. Because usually what you would do is you would slide the power supply in from the side of the case right over here. Let's take this back side case off. And this is just 2 screws on each side. All right. And just pull this back and we'll take this case cover right off. All right, put that down here. And then we can see the back side of our motherboard, and we can see the power supply goes in here. A lot of times you just slide the power supply right in there and then you can screw it right in. But we have this bracket that goes on with this, and then we could just slide it in, and then 2 hand screws. So that makes it easy. So let's open up our power spec. This is a 650 watt power supply, semi-modular, and bronze rated. So this will be perfect for our build. It'll be plenty for our build. And on top of that is, if you upgrade, it will still cover mostly anything you put in here. So, and that's the reason why we're getting it. We're not going with like a 450 or 500 watt power supply, and then you're gonna have to worry about upgrading to something bigger if you get a more powerful video card or something like that. So first things we'll do is, we got the back of this. And then we're gonna line up our holes and then start screwing these screws in. I put a couple on the side right here. So I have my screws ready to go. And we'll just screw these right in. So that's 1. 2. 2 bugger shoe tray. So I want to thank you for joining me on my first YouTube computer build. So this is my first time building a computer on YouTube, and it's been an awesome process so far. I can't tell you how much it really takes, setting up wise, and camera positioning and everything. It's a lot to do, but it is such a learning curve to do all these videos for the first time. You know, I could put this computer together probably like in 45 minutes or an hour, and then when you have everything that you have to do as far as setting up for the camera positions and all, it's a pretty big task. Okay, so I have that bracket on, and now all I have to do is slide this right in forward. So I'm gonna, okay. So here is, this is our video card power. Boom. Okay, and then I have a SATA power cable. This is just a regular old power. You know, I'll throw this in here just in case we got to run any fans on these. I could always tuck this away if I'm not going to use it. So I'll put this in. Boom. All right, and then we'll feed all these through as we pull it. Okay, so this will just go right in. Now my fan is facing down on here because I do have a fan filter on the bottom of this case. So we can pull the filter off, clean it. So we're bringing in fresh air from underneath. And we'll do the same. These two screws just screw right in. I really like this little setup on here because this really makes it easy if you need to add something on this instead of having to, you know, I don't know, undo 4 screws and pull this out the side. So now our power supply is installed, and we can, these are our motherboard cables right here. So we can have those come out the front. And here are some other cables that we'll be working with, giving us power. And I'm going to take the cables out from the front of the motherboard. These will all be attaching. These are for the header of the case themselves. And this is one fan that I have in here, the front fan. All right. So now our job is to route these cables to the proper places. So now we're gonna have to take a look here and see what is the best way. So our 24-pin connector, we can see is up top right in here. We're definitely gonna end up coming through here. Okay, so our next connection is at the top of the motherboard in the corner. And there's usually a little cutout in the back up here nowadays in the case. And here it is. Comes out on the top side. Now, depending on your motherboard, this can be a 4-pin, an 8-pin. And this one here, let's take a look, is a 8-pin. Okay, and we can see it clicks on the top side. So let's see if we can get this in. Okay, so that is in. Those two are in. Push them down a little harder. All right, so that was a little tough for me to see in there. So that 8-pin is in. And then on the back of this, you can see there is some spots to put some tie wraps down so you can neaten things up a little bit in here. So with the motherboard comes some little tie wraps, and that's like perfect for the back of this. So you can basically just throw one tie wrap off to the side here. That's going to make that look nice and neat over there. And we could throw one of these on right here also. And this is just to keep things in place so the wiring doesn't get out of control back here. Now we're going to take a look to see where we're going to go with our cables for the header. So at this point we need to attach everything that's on the front panel to the motherboard. So the USB 3 would go here, your power button cable would go here for the front panel, and your audio would go here. So we'd feed these up through the best appropriate holes and we'll attach them. So I gotta flip this around. And take a look and see what we have here. So we have, this is the front panel. So I'm gonna take this one and we're gonna come right up through here with that. Okay, and this is our audio, and our audio, I'm going to sneak that behind here. I'm going to sneak the audio right behind this, so at least this And go over the top, and then I can snake out right in here. And that will go right onto the motherboard. And this is the USB 3 cable. Okay, so the USB 3 cable, which it says right on it, is on the side of our motherboard. So this one I'm going to pop out right here. Okay, and then this is a fan, power for fan that I have. And I'm going to pop that out right here also because I saw a header for a fan. And I could tuck everything else back right in here, so that's no big deal. So in here now is a couple cables that we'll have for our graphics card and whatever else we might need. May not use them all, but we could tuck them away. So now we'll go into the front, and then we see this has a little notch on it for the USB 3, and we can see it's notched out there. So this is a simple plug-in, although this can be tight sometimes, so you want to really be careful you don't bend any pins when you push in. Okay, that's in. And then what we do is you push the excess cable out through here. It could have even came out there. Maybe I'll do that. Sometimes this is a perfect example of making decisions on the fly to make things look a little neater. So I'll come out through up here because I like the way that looks better. And then we'll plug it right in. Oh baby, my eyes are not what they used to be. All right, that's in. Boom, shakalaka, boom. Okay, so that will look like that. Then we'll take this fan cable, which is a 3-pin. Let's find a fan header. Fan 2. And this looks fine right here. Use this baby. Okay, tuck that right down there. And this is your audio. And so you look at this pinout, make sure you look at all the pinouts because you're just gonna match them up. Pretty much self-explanatory about how they go on. You just wanna take your time so you don't bend any pins. Okay, and that was like that. And this is our front panel connectors. A lot of times what I like to do is double check, look in the manual, and go over the header layout. So this way, because it's hard to see everything in perfect order, and then if you go and take a look in there, it will definitely explain it. Okay, so while I was gone, I attached this fan in the back and then tucked away the excess cable right underneath the fan. And I pulled the graphics card power right out through this middle hole. Now I'm in the process of looking at the manual and doing the pinout for the power switch in the front. So it looks like we're gonna go these two cables first on here. Okay, and then so the hard drive light is right below. It's a little difficult to see in here, unfortunately. All right, and then the reset goes underneath, and this power switch should be right on top. So there should be all of them right there. And then next we'll go our video card. So our video card is you have to take out 2 of your PC slots in the back right here. So not the first one because that goes here. So you're gonna take out this one, and then when you take these out, you just save these because you never know when you're gonna need those again. And you're gonna need 2 slots missing. Because most newer video cards take out 2 slots. Okay. And then you install the video card. Now this little tab is pushed back right here because this is what's gonna snap in when you install this. Okay, so this is straightforward. Go right in, hold the back of the case, and just push firmly. And you'll see this tab move forward. And when that moves forward, you know you're good to go. Okay, and then you'll put your screws back in where you took them out because that will hold the video card in its place. Alright, so one goes there, and I just hold this even for the spacing. This will go right here. And then depending on your video card, it could take 6 pins or 8 pins. So this will slide off and the tab only goes in one direction right here. So you can see this will spin around. You could tuck this over, okay? And then this would just plug right into here like that. And that gives you the power for it. And that's everything that we have to install. Now the only thing is to plug this thing and see if it even turns on. Okay guys, so here's the real test right now. At least to see if we got things at least somewhat under control. Okay, so I'm gonna flip the switch and let's push the button and see what happens. I don't know what's gonna happen, so let's see. Where's the power button? There it is. Oh, that's a good sign. Fan turned on. Good, good. All right, guys. All our fans came on, and the PC is running. All right, so here we are at PC user benchmark. We're gonna run the test and see how this computer does compared to other computers that are in its class as far as similar motherboards, similar CPUs. And I think what we're gonna find just from using this before is everything is going to test really high and our video card is going to be the middle of the road, but at least you'll get an idea by looking at this. Like I said, the only thing you're going to have to improve is that video card if you want next year. If you need to, you may not even need to, so it depends, and you're getting a great computer PC setup for 550 bucks. So let's take a look at this test and see where it lies. Alright guys, so let's take a look. This is finished running, and we could see that overall it scored pretty high over everything. It just basically the processor and the PC itself scored 77th percentile. This means out of 100 PCs with exactly the same components, 23 performed better. So this computer performed great with the components, and we can see the only thing that really changed here is the video card is the only thing that's in orange, stating that's the middle of the road. So this GPU can handle the majority of recent games, but it will struggle with resolutions greater than 1080p at ultra detail level. So pretty much what we know already, which is if you run this at 1080p on high settings, you're going to be able to play almost all the new games that are out there with 60 frames per second. And that's what we're looking for. For $550, you have a great computer overall. And even if we take a look down here, if you go down to the bottom here, it will give you just a general idea. Like if you were to play Fortnite here at, say, you pick 1080p at high settings, that you would get about 112 frames per second. And this is not like exactly, but it just gives you a good idea. A game like Witcher, which is pretty intense, you can see here we get about 55 frames per second. So this is a very usable rig, and it's powerful, and it'll be really powerful if you just decide to upgrade the GPU next year or whenever you feel it's necessary. So I hope that you guys got good use out of this video. I hope this gave you some idea or some good tips of what you can pick to do your next build, and at this price range what kind of performance you're getting. And if you feel you got any good info from this video, please like and subscribe. We're a new channel and trying to get new subscribers, and this is my first PC build, so thanks for showing up and taking a look, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks again.